Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. All for you, Jesus. In you I found the greater love. You are my firm foundation, in whom I place my trust. I found heaven's when you told me my word, you alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Don't let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, Michelle family, and those that are here for the first time.
Oh my goodness. So we have Lieutenant Mark Taylor with us today. Very excited about that. I wanted to also say, y'all are so funny, just so funny. I have had numerous messages today. People can't believe they've already got their shampoos and conditioners that they placed the orders for on Friday. Well, we're not playing around. I told you I took over the distribution center and big changes were coming. So, anyways, it's just coming along so good. And I'm so glad that y'all are excited to be getting your shampoos and conditioners so quickly. All right. So, with that said, we got a lot of things to cover today. I want to first tell you before we bring in Lieutenant Mark Taylor that tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, of course, we got North Carolina, our last trip. So, we will be back on Friday. I've been on the phone this morning. Very excited about Friday's guest. Not sure which one. We'll see which one's going to make it on Friday, but we're working on something very big for you for Friday. So just heads up, it's happening. It's just a matter of exactly who's going to be here Friday, and the other one will be here Tuesday is what we're trying to work out. But anyways, okay. So I know I'm being vague, but Friday will be a good day. We're going to bring you some really good information and arm you with the information you need when you go to the hospitals. And so excited about what we're working on for that. Okay, so North Carolina, I was thinking this morning, Friday, I'm probably going to be a little bit emotional because, and Thursday, of course, but wow, it's been 10 trips. It's going to be 10 trips this Friday or Thursday. And so there's a lot that goes into getting ready for the trip. In fact, I've now heard that we're going to have 10 pallets. We spent so much money, bought so much stuff that it's 10 pallets, which is the most that the moving truck will hold. Sometimes we go and it's 9 or 8 pallets, even though the truck is pretty much full. This time it's going to be packed, jam-packed with all different kinds of supplies. Once again, they are getting everything that they put on the list that they asked for because of you guys, the viewers. Y'all have done an amazing job. Just in case you hadn't heard already, wanted to let you know there's going to be over $250,000 worth of supplies and all different kinds of stuff. Oh my goodness. By the time that Thursday's trip happens and all those deliveries are made, food, supplies, it's just amazing. In fact, I've been hearing from different people that actually support the community and do work, whether it's like a neighborhood pantry, just different people that Jenica helps to get things out to that helps other people as well. And so we have been supporting numerous different ways that the community gets helped, because don't know if you realize or you remember, but the only grocery store got taken out that's in Swannanoa, got taken out during Hurricane Helene. And so I don't even think they've even started building back yet. And so it was an Ingles grocery store. They did finally announce that they are going to rebuild. We weren't sure if that was even going to happen. I think they announced that about a month ago. So that'll be good news. Lots of logistical things that cause trouble with all that. So I'm glad to hear that they are going to be rebuilding. So, but wanted to remind you that we will not be here tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. A lot goes into getting ready for that trip and then taking that trip. And so we will be back on Friday with Friday's big show. Very excited. Don't forget too that the next Friday is our 3-year anniversary. And so for the Michelle Moore Show, producer Ron is working on a bunch of good stuff for that. I told him that of a couple of ideas that I had as well that I'll be working on. So that'll be a really good celebration. I'd love it if you would take the time to email me, Michelle@NashvilleMichelle.com, and share maybe something that's been, what you learned or what the show has done for you. I'd like to share some of those during the show that day. So again, you can email me, Michelle@NashvilleMichelle.com. Share what your favorite thing is, or whatever the show's meant to you or has done for you, whatever that looks like, maybe a specific show, a specific guest, whatever it is that you'd like to share. I'd like to be able to share those on that show if at all possible. So it'll be fun day. Let's see. So a couple of things I wanted to share here. Let's see. Don't ever take away my freedom says, funny how our time change to fall back an hour makes waiting for this wonderful show seem oh so long. God bless, Michelle. Thank you for your regular Mark Taylor guest. You're welcome. He's here today, so we're very excited about that. Jeannie says, love Mondays again. I get all of my chores done so that I can watch the show and so enjoy Mark Taylor. That's so awesome. Justice 311 says, every day here is a good day. Right? It's the family. It's the gang's all here. Producer Ron says to remind you that we will be running documentaries and educational presentations during regular showtime each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week, 3 p.m. Central Time, even though I won't be here. Hey, by the way, I'm having a pretty good hair day. I bet you can guess the shampoo and the conditioner I'm using. I'm so excited because the samples had run out. So I finally got good shampoo and conditioner. Red Clay Lane says, hello, it's Monday, my favorite day now with Michelle and Mark. So without much or any further delay, let's go on ahead and bring Lieutenant Mark Taylor in before the show started. Hi, Mark.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Are you sitting in the dark? You look a little dark there.
I don't know what's going on. I just noticed that. It's probably my camera. You know?
Okay. So before we get started with what I've got for today, I want to ask you about this viewer question. It says, point of no return says, question for MT, which would be you. When Papa Bush, so Bush 41, declared a new world order from the Oval Office and Clinton had his Lewinsky stuff going on there, did that open a demonic portal in the White House? Was just thinking about this, they said.
I think the demonic portal's been over that White House long before the Bushes.
Yeah.
Long before the Bushes. It's just a matter of what you're feeding coming out of that portal. Basically, someone's got to go in and shut that portal. That's what people have to understand. So until someone goes in there, and there's nobody that I've seen yet that can go in there and shut it, because obviously it's not shut because we still see demonic things going on in the White House right now, even in the Oval Office. Otherwise, you would not see that kind of stuff that kind of activity going on. So
yeah. What about though? People that say, well, he's the president for everyone.
True. But he's also the gatekeeper for everyone spiritually over America. What he allows in or keeps out matters for everyone. It rolls downhill.
Yeah, good point. I just was thinking about that. Okay, well, we've got a lot to cover. Let's go on ahead and get started today. So the first thing is the Mississippi law enforcement that were caught with working with the cartel. This is amazing. 20 officers were indicted for aiding drug smuggling in America. They're caught. It says caught in all caps. This isn't suspicion. This is they were caught doing it, Mark.
Right. So, but you got to ask yourself, how many of these law enforcement officers across the country are involved in this? Because you're talking about drugs coming in across the border into Mena, Arkansas, into Branson. That's why Branson was developed to begin with. From Branson to Nashville, that's a main thoroughfare. So you got to ask anywhere in between Branson and Nashville, all these cops, or not to say all of them, but a lot of these cops are going to be on the take to look the other way, because all that stuff's getting transported through their counties, through their cities. So there's a whole lot more than these guys, believe me.
Well, when I was looking at this, I mean, does it kind of remind you a little bit too of like when we talk about these big, system 501c3 pastors?
Well,
it's just kind of another system.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. When I was reading this, it just made me think about that. And it just, to me, I saw some of the parallels, the similarities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
you got churches involved in this too. So we'll find out before long.
Yeah. All right. The next one is Brooke Rollins. So this is kind of real recent. She's the agricultural secretary, just in case y'all didn't know that, for the United States in Trump's cabinet. I've met Brooke before when I've gone to Mar-a-Lago, and she pretty much runs the show there, even over Paula White. Brooke is the one. So now she's the agriculture secretary, and take a look at this video. This is very interesting.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mark, so this was just tweeted out a little bit ago. The 21 states that refuse to send their SNAP data to the USDA are California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, and of course, Washington, D.C. is in the mix too. Yes.
All blue
yes.
states.
They're stonewalling because they know that the fraud is massive. This is treason.
Yeah. And so the number she didn't say right there, I think, because I read an article on this with her, there's 45 million people on this program.
Yeah.
Out of the 45 million, 54% were illegals. So if we starve them out of here, are they going to self-deport? Well, that's a conversation for another show. I
No,
guess.
they won't. No, they won't self-report. They'll just start
They'll
stealing.
find some other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, when people start going hungry, they get desperate. Look out.
Yeah, but you're also talking about people that are not even law-abiding citizens. So they don't get their way. What are they going to start doing? They're not going to self-deport. They're going to take to other crimes and other things as well, is what my prediction would be.
But think of that. 54, that's almost 22.5 million people who are illegals that are collecting this money. That's not including what's left of the 22.5 million that maybe shouldn't be on there either, committing fraud or, whatever the scam they got going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's incredible.
Where's the stuff that was all learned from Doge? Why hasn't something
where is Doge?
Yeah. What happened to that?
I don't know. Where are they?
They died off quick.
That's kind of like the Epstein files. Kind of like the gold at Fort Knox.
Yeah.
What happened to all this stuff, by the way?
Good point. But I was just thinking about that. It's like, well, there was so much hype around the Doge stuff, and there was so much great information coming out.
Yeah,
but
they were doing great.
Big old nothing burger at this point that we are aware of.
Yep.
One of our viewers says, not surprised about all the states on that list. Yeah, they're blue states for the most part, I do believe. Boston just had deputy director to our governor arrested by the FBI for $8 million in cocaine and guns being delivered to the state house. What?
Nice.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. Mark, it appears that the portal was opened by FDR or earlier. Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was earlier. And then also we had a viewer who I saw in the chat. There it is. A DG 19341 says, or 1934 says, I remember Nancy Reagan got shot and Nancy brought a psychic into the White House. Excellent point, DG. Excellent point.
The psychic didn't see that coming?
Yeah. Okay, we'll move along. Okay, so Americans are calling Trump back home to focus on domestic issues. Now, I know that this particular article also has some statistics that were attached to it. Mark, share some of those stats, if you would, please.
Yeah, okay, so in this, it says Americans are calling Trump back home to focus on domestic issues. This is from John Solomon, and it says the America First crowd is irritated as they perceive the commander-in-chief in a subordinating domestic interest to his international agenda. What have we been saying for weeks, if not months, that the president was too focused on the Nobel Peace Prize and not what's going on domestically here at home? It is starting to show in his poll numbers, and I got attacked, multiple attacks, by saying I was being divisive or coming against the president. That's not what I was saying. What have I been saying? I said that the president was going to start losing supporters. It's already happening. Right here is, in fact, the proof. There's some statistics going on here. And it says, because people cannot afford, it says right here, you are never going to convince Americans that whatever is going on in Israel or whatever is going on in Eastern Europe is more important than whether or not they can afford eggs at the grocery store. So, I mean, again, they're calling him back home. Stop with the foreign policy stuff. Start dealing with stuff here at home. Now, Trump currently enjoys a 45.1% approval rating, according to Real Clear Politics, and a further 51.8% disapprove of his job performance. On the economy overall, he stands at 41% approval, 54.4% approval. And he says particularly poorly on inflation, a merely 35.8% approval and 62.5% disapproval in the same metric. So he says, also pointed out the data showing 51.7% of Americans believe Trump is too focused on foreign affairs. Only 18.3% believe he is too focused on domestic issues. Only 30% believe he's only balanced them appropriately. Guys, these are really bad numbers, and I'm not going to pronounce this word because Michelle laughed at me earlier because I can't even pronounce the word. This
Rasmussen.
Thank you. Okay, so on Wednesday, found Trump having 45% support and 53% disapproval in their daily tracking poll. So this is not good for the president. We have been saying this for a long time. We're not attacking the president. We love the president. We support the president. We want him to succeed because if he succeeds, America succeeds. The problem is too many things on foreign land is taking hold right now with this president for some unknown reason because of the Nobel Peace Prize. We all know what his ego's like. And as much as I love him, he's got to put this stuff aside. When they're talking about MEGA. You have MAGA, and then all of a sudden MEGA, MEEGA. Make everything else great again is what they're calling it right now. Some people may laugh at it. It's really not funny, to be honest with you, because the point is, this is very true. It's making everyone else great again. He's got peace in the Middle East. Everybody's crying, peace in the Middle East. We got peace in the Middle East. Do we have peace in America, Michelle?
No.
No, because America's burning right now. And we're going to, as we go into this show, we're going to give some really good details here because we have a really good segment coming up with an interview with an ex-Border Patrol guy here that's going to shed light that every red-blooded American should be fired up and angry over right now.
Well, Mark, also, I think, in our prep time today, one of the things I said to you was I am realizing that I think Christians are under a greater attack than what we even realize until today. So after today, I think believers' jaws are going to drop as we lay everything out. And so it's even shocking to me to realize how far down this rabbit hole we are into this battle when we think, oh, it's just, the Zionists, or, oh, it's just the Hindus, or there's a lot of stuff going on. And these so-called controversial things that we've been talking about for months now are much further along than I think many of us even realized until today.
Down the road. Down the road.
So we talked about it today, and I said, Mark, I think we're really way further down the road than what most people realize. And it was really hitting me today.
I think we're at a tipping point. I really do. If they don't do something fast, we're at a tipping point where something's going to break loose in this country.
Okay, so let's go on ahead and start laying this out. Did you hear about what's happened in North Carolina? Now, what I'd be interested to find out is exactly where this community is going to be taking place, by the way. But it's a 130-acre Hindu community being planned in North Carolina. The reason why I say what I'm saying is because I'm wondering if by the way, the community didn't even know that it was happening until it was already approved. So it quietly happened. Quietly happened, but I'm wondering if Hurricane Helene hit in this area. But producer Ron, let's show what this 130-acre Hindu community being planned. Look at this. Look how big the monument.
And that monument is supposed to be one of the biggest monuments
in the country.
It's going to be bigger than as big as the Statue of Liberty, if not bigger.
I think I read it was going to be bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the Statue of Liberty is a whole thing, too.
Imagine the Statue of Liberty. This thing the size of the Statue of Liberty.
This is being planned in North Carolina.
Yeah.
130 acres.
This is what happens when you light a candle in the Oval Office and you usher this stuff in, which is what I was warning about. Can you imagine what a statue of that magnitude, of that size, is ushering in the spirit realm? Can you imagine cities and the county that thing's going to reside in, the chaos that's going to ensue in the spirit realm over there.
No,
This is
no.
the problem. Look, we got another one to show here in a second. But the point is that go ahead.
No, you go on.
So the point is that people don't understand what these monuments actually do. The Statue of Liberty is not about liberty. It's Masonic. It's no different than the Washington Monument. It's a phallic symbol to Baal. You got to understand the resonance, the frequencies that these guys knew that they were attracting. It's giving off. It's a low frequency like the Washington Monument. It will affect the mind. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what ley lines to put it on. They knew exactly what frequencies it was going to put off or absorb. They knew exactly what they were doing. Same thing with this thing. What happens if I have a cross the size of the Statue of Liberty? What happens? It's going to repel those things, literally, in the spirit realm. What happens to this thing? It's going to attract it. That's what these things do.
Yeah. All right. So already, though, in New Jersey, there is a $96 million Hindu temple. They say it's massive. Look at this. And so
$96 million
already there.
Already established. Look at the cars in the parking lot, guys. You wonder why New Jersey's the way it is?
Mhm.
Here's a good reason why right here. Spiritually.
All right. In Dallas, Texas, there was a Muslim festival. Let's take a look at this one. Look at this festival.
Look at this.
This is in Dallas, Texas. You know, Dr. Mackey, who's been on the show, he's an ivermectin specialist, really helps people who's got the C word. Well, he was saying to at one point, you know, he and his wife were looking to relocate to the United States and said, oh, we just assumed it would be Texas. He goes, but then when we really started doing some of the research, he said, we started realizing, wait a minute, Texas is a disaster.
Yeah.
What is going on?
It's a purposeful invasion that has exploded in America. And we got some videos that are going to explain this. We got some really good videos going to explain some of this. So it's the religious side of things. The political tower we've been talking about has to come down. It's the religious tower's got to come down. The problem is who's there to stop this religious explosion that they're using the freedom of religion, if you will, against the American people, because we are a Christian nation. They're using that against us to say, oh, this is our freedom of religion to be able to do this. It's an invasion by design to turn America to Islam or Hinduism or this or that, anything but Christianity, which is why you're seeing Christianity being attacked all over the world right now. And like you said, Christianity's under attack even in ways we don't even see. Where are the Christians that are countering this?
That's right.
That's my question.
That's right. That's a great point. And they don't come here to assimilate. They come here to bring their ways of thinking,
that's right,
their beliefs, and to take over. They're not here to get along.
No.
That's one of the biggest things I think everybody needs to understand.
We're fixing to end up like the UK if something's not done very quickly.
Yeah. Maybe what we need to do is start showing some of the UK videos a little bit more, because I'm seeing those and they are horrific.
They're horrific. You can't even make a social media post in the UK right now without being arrested.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're going to see where that happened here in the United States too.
That's right.
Okay. So, so there's a lady from Egypt. I want to share this. So she originally from Egypt. She came here to the United States to get away from who she calls the bad guys, which are the Muslim Brotherhood. Let's take a listen to what she says she's seeing here in the United States. She's seen it before. Take a listen.
I came here expecting that I left the bad guys behind. But unfortunately, what I found here is that the bad guys are already here. And they include many of the people I knew from 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I was a student, an undergraduate student. Now they are leading the protests that are happening all over the country. I know they are members of the Muslim Brotherhood, although many of them deny that they are. They even organize the protests in the same manner that they were doing back then, 15 and 20 years ago, the same way of mobilization, the same flags, the same narrative, even the same dependence on Al Jazeera footage and the news stories. It's like a deja vu for me. Everything is happening, but in the United States. That's why I'm here today with the hope that we can find a way to prevent what happened to my home country, Egypt, from happening here to the United States. Because for me, the United States embodies all the important values that I've been fighting for all my life, including human rights, women's rights, and democratization. I don't want to see this going away by any means. So I hope today we can come up with an offensive strategy that can help us make this happen before it's too late.
All right.
God bless this lady who's coming out against it, because she's putting her life on the line. You and I both know, because it's radical, right? She knows this. So, but this is the part where the Christians are going to step up and start taking matters in the spiritual hands, if you will. Something has to be done to counter this. What are we going to do? The first thing is, my question is this: how many of these Muslims, how many of these Hindus, all these different religions we're seeing right now on American soil, how many of these guys are illegal? That's the first thing that has to take place. We're going to get more into that as we go on. We got to get rid of them, period. That will help. The second thing is, who is going to step up to the plate spiritually and start handling these spiritual matters and either start leading these people to Christ, or we're going to have to do something about it. It's because the way things are going right now, what I see, if we're not careful, there's a fine line here. I'm not saying it's going to happen. There's a fine line here. I've been warning about this because Trump's dragging his feet with the illegals right now. That these guys are going to get mad. It's going to end up being a holy war. We could end up in a civil conflict over many different things, over the food stamps, over the holy war like this, because people aren't going to put up with this much longer with these Muslims coming in here like this. They have taken over entire cities like Dearborn, their own police departments, their city councils. They're ruling and reigning with Sharia law. All of these things are taking place. So again, the buck starts and stops with the president of the United States. He has got to get control of it. He says he's going to protect the Christians that are being killed in Nigeria, which we'll go over here in a minute. But when do you protect them here at home?
Yeah.
Because this stuff's happening here. What's happening in the UK, believe it or not, guys, is happening here on American soil. You're just not hearing about it because the mainstream media is not playing it.
Well, let's listen to this gentleman who shares what happened to him in Dearborn, Michigan, talking about Michigan. Yep. Let's listen to what happened to him and how he was arrested.
In Dearborn, Michigan, they locked us up, threw us in jail, kept us there for a while, and we hadn't done anything. And the things they accused us of, we didn't do at all. No investigation. They just took us and locked us up. And then they were wrong. Then we were found not guilty, and then we sued them, and they had to apologize, and they had to post an apology on their city's website for 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing everything we can to avoid the situation that is being produced, where in Muslim countries you have Sharia, and then in Western countries where you supposedly don't have Sharia, you get this sort of replacement Sharia, right? Where, sorry, you can't make fun of Muhammad. Sorry, you can't, because police will come in there and stop you based on other people complaining.
Yeah. And they had to issue an apology on the website for the city, I guess it was, for 3 years. So, because they sued them. Mark, this happened in the United States, y'all, in Dearborn, Michigan.
This is happening more frequently than people realize, Michelle. They're just not reporting on it. The mainstream media is complicit in this, the fake news. They're not going to report on stuff like this. You're only going to hear this on alternative news media, like what we're doing here. So, again, you got to ask yourself, how much of this is going on American soil that you're not actually hearing about, that only makes it to the headlines? I go back to when I was on the fire department, 99.9% of the stuff I ran on, 12,000 calls a year out of that one station alone, you never heard about it. I had 6 cuttings, shootings, and stabbings in one shift. You never heard about it because it was so prevalent. The same thing's going on with these issues in the headlines. You're not hearing about 99.9% of it. All you're hearing is the 0.1 that makes it to the headlines. That's how bad this stuff is.
Yeah, we know that this gentleman wasn't the only one, you know what I mean, that got arrested. Okay, so Friday there was a news broadcast that I came across that I thought was very interesting. It's talking about Dearborn is becoming a hotbed for radicalization. I think it's been there. I don't think it's just, I think it's been here like back with Obama. Okay, this was before Trump was even in office. So you're talking about 9-10 years. It was full blown bad back then.
Obama set that up, I believe, because Dearborn has their own police department that's Muslim, their own city council that's Muslim. So all of these things. So you have entire cities that have been invaded, and taken over by these Muslim communities.
Okay. Producer Ron shared also that festival. It's being reported that there was over 10,000 Muslims there in that Muslim festival.
Where's Joel Osteen and his 30,000 army?
Yeah.
Where's Joel Osteen? You got 30,000 in his congregation. Why weren't they surrounding it with prayer?
Well, when
that's
there's a
right.
flood,
They don't want to get out of the four walls. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, when there's a flood, they couldn't take care of people then either. So we'll move along.
Right.
All right. So it's just crazy. I want to see this broadcast. I want to share that with everybody. From Friday, talking about the infiltration that's going on in Dearborn. Let's take a look.
We recently saw mass demonstrations chanting "Death to America." Yes, in Dearborn, Michigan, where they would have made their police logo an Arabic writing sign if it wasn't national outrage after the proposed patches were leaked. There was a terror attack thwarted out of there. Weird. Guys, when are we going to get serious about this stuff? 9/11 wasn't enough. This is something, this community showing a pattern of, let's say, the tendency to not self-police. Not an isolated problem, though. Ilhan Omar, the Somali immigrant who the United States took in as a refugee, was elected by and presides over the #1 terror recruiting district in the country in Minnesota, who seemingly didn't have a problem with 9/11.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
This is why Trump just capped the refugee ceiling at 7,500 this week, because that's what we're getting. By the way, she recently pledged allegiance to Somalia as a U.S. Congresswoman.
intii aniga aan Congress joogo wadanka Soomaaliya biyaheeda dad kaleeta iyo badeeda dad kale ma qaadanayaan.
So did the guy running for mayor of Minneapolis that she's actually supporting. Oh, by the way, you want to know why Omar fled Somalia and sought refugee status here in America? Fun fact, because her father was previously a ranking military officer in a military that was committing genocide. And then when the government collapsed, the people who had been oppressed by that government that he supported wanted him dead. Shocker, right? So we took her in, and to repay us, she says that she wants to turn us into Somalia. Thanks. But if I bring any of this up, I get people like Zorhan Mamdani telling me stuff like this.
No matter what anyone says, there are still certain forms of hate that are acceptable in this city. Islamophobia is not seen as inexcusable. In an era of ever-diminishing bipartisanship, it seems that Islamophobia has emerged as one of the few areas of agreement.
But I'm just presenting data. I mean, dude, give it a rest. Islamophobia is not even like the top 10 issues in New York where people can't afford food. But that's the problem here. We can't have an honest conversation with data and metrics without the utter meltdown of people on the left.
So you see where this is headed. This is headed to some type of a conflict somewhere, somehow. Look, these people are not going to leave quietly. So there's going to be issues, even if we get down the line here in the show. There's going to be issues even when you go to get these people out of here. There's going to be issues. You just might as well expect it. It's going to happen.
All right. It's crazy. Mary on YouTube is asking a question I thought was very good. She goes, do we have to physically go to the White House to shut the portals?
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, yes. And unfortunately, somebody's got to go into the White House. Somebody's got to go outside of the White House.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than when you go to the Washington Monument to do things. Okay, there's actually two Washington monuments. I don't know if people know that. There's two Washington monuments. There's one above and there's one below. There's one that's below ground, that's about 13 feet high, and it's where the original Washington Monument was supposed to be, but because it was on swamp, they had to move it. They couldn't support the weight. So there's one below ground. It's about, you take the manhole cover off, you will see it below ground. As above, so below, as that saying goes. So you have to take care of things above and below, inside and out, to shut a portal. The best way to answer a portal, I know this is a bad analogy, but this, when you're talking about Iron Man and the Hulk, what was the name of the movie? I can't remember the name of the movie.
I don't remember, but I know
it was one of those movies where the portal opens up and you see all these aliens pouring through. It's a bad analogy, but you get my point. That's what happens when you open a portal. All these demonic entities come pouring through. So depending on what you want, if the portal's already open, then you can go in there, you can light a candle, you can do whatever you want in order to call those things in. Because the portal's already open. You don't have to do work to open the portal spiritually.
The problem is you're dealing with people that don't understand. Well, maybe they do understand. Maybe Paula White does understand, and she's just planted where she's at for a reason. And so you've got a lot of spiritual business not being taken care of in the way that it needs to be. You've got a baby Christian as the president at best. Even, I mean, this is just, it's insanity.
Well, look, how do you know that the Washington Monument is not opening the portal and keeps it open because of the resonance, the frequencies that it's generating right there? And they knew that, which is why every time you get a good guy or a good woman that goes to Washington, D.C., they lose their brain matter because it's the District of Columbia. What is Columbia? It's another name for Baal. It is the District of Baal. That's why you have a hard time taking it down, guys. Because, again, the White House is something that we're going to have to close that portal.
What do you think as far as, like, with all this being said about Trump's ballroom? Do you, they're saying that this
it could mess up Space Force. I saw where they actually did a flyover, and it's messing up the ley lines. It's messing up the geographical thing. That's possible. I get that, and it could cut off some of that. But again, why would you light a candle? Why would you open the door? Why were you celebrating Halloween? The First Lady had a Halloween celebration with a bunch of kids there. You cannot dabble in this stuff with mixture and not expect that stuff to happen.
Yeah, the mixture.
It's the mixture.
Hearing a lot about that. I was just talking about that this morning on something else, and so that's mixture. Just call it out for what it is. And I was teaching a couple of people this morning about the mixture, and so because you see it everywhere.
Well, Paula White was in the office when he lit the candle, so that's not even a mixture as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's all demonic.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on ahead and show this interview. So there's a clip of an interview that we want you all to see. It's about 15 minutes. This gentleman is a former Customs and Border Patrol agent, worked for about 20 plus years, 25 years within the agency. His name is J.J. Carroll. You're going to hear some details. Pay attention. This is very important.
Yep.
This is really talking about a lot of what Mark and I have been discussing. Remember when we showed the video quite a few months ago, and it was of Tom Homan, and he was talking about how many people were being shown out the country's doors, but yet how many needed to be done on a daily basis versus how many were being done monthly.
1,500 a day, he said, was getting done, and we need 7,000.
A day.
And
so we've brought this up over and over and over again, week after week. We've kept talking about it. Well, now you're going to see this one. So here we go.
Well, if you thought the amount of illegal immigrants and illegal violent criminals in the United States, the arrests haven't been sufficient, you're probably right. And the Trump administration is in many ways admitting that they need to change course. And how are they going to change course?
I think my internet
major shakeup with ICE. And how is all of this going to come to pass? We wanted to ask J.J. Carroll, who spent 24 years, the Customs and Border Patrol, as a supervisor and an expert in this area. And this is going to involve the Customs and Border Patrol. He's also the author of the great book called Treason. If you want to understand how the Biden administration sold out this country and their strategic and malicious destruction of America's sovereignty, you need to read this book, because it didn't just happen by chance. It was systemic. And now President Trump has to unwind all of this mess. And JJ is back on the show today to talk about all of this. So JJ, thank you for alerting me to this, because I missed this story. But this is a major shakeup at ICE, and this is going to involve your old group at the Customs and Border Patrol. Can you talk about how this is all going to come to pass?
Well, Donald Trump has just had it with the lack of deportation. So when you look at the numbers, and the numbers are all over the place, right? So we're looking at 2 million self-deports, and then 500,000 arrests and deports, and then people have done FOIA requests, and they said, well, actually that 500,000 number is about 150,000. So nobody really knows. But what we all agree on is there's not enough arrests and deportations. And Donald Trump knows that, and his White House advisor, Stephen Miller, is, I think, and what from just piecing the puzzle together, he is the voice that is pounding the drum saying this is not enough. And I should say you said this right at the outset. Like, we love President Trump, all of this, right? You're a huge supporter of President Trump for closing the border. But right at the very beginning, you were saying to me on this show
It's not enough, Clayton. Like, they're going to go out there with these ICE agents. It's not enough. They have to do something dramatic. And I think you were hitting the nail on the head. Do you think that this is that dramatic moment? Which I cut you off. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I wanted to point out that you were saying this many, many months ago.
Well, you and I have had this discussion. I've written articles about it. I wrote in my book what needs to happen, and what needs to happen is not happening. I'm a huge fan of Tom Homan. Tom Homan is a wrecking ball, and I love how he is direct and he just does what he needs to do. I love him. However, I have said from the very beginning, thank you for acknowledging it, that this is not going to work. Why is this not going to work? Because I want your audience to understand when the media throws out the term ICE, we think of guys that are wearing bulletproof vests with police ICE on the back, HSI, and they're running around making arrests. That's not what ICE is. ICE is broken up into multiple departments, a lot of lawyers, but the enforcement arm is the Homeland Security Investigators, HSI, that they do, if I think of long-term investigations, right? Not street arrests, long-term. Then you got the ERO, which is the Enforcement Removal Operations. And under the ERO, you have DOs called deportation officers. Those guys are working jails. They're doing deportation flights. They are not doing street arrest. Now, they're fugitive ops, but even the fugitive ops that have many of my friends in those are case file by case file. So I want you to imagine there's 50 million illegal aliens in America, 6,000, quote, ICE officers that are broken up into HSI investigators and DOs that now have to go case by case to arrest 50 million people. That's why I've said from the very beginning, this makes no sense to me. This is never going to work. And the idea, I want your audience to understand, you're taking long-term investigators and then deportation officers that have never made street arrest, and then you place them in Chicago, New York, LA, Phoenix, San Diego, and that's why you're seeing all these officers fighting day in and day out and can't make arrests that are simple. For me, is simple. Because they've never done it before, Clayton. They were put in a very, very bad position. And Donald Trump, through Stephen Miller, I believe, has acknowledged that. And they're making this switch to Border Patrol agents taking over those day-to-day operations. And that is what needs to happen. It needs to happen immediately.
So, as you pointed out, I think Bill Malugin first broke this story a couple of days ago. Can you walk us through now? So now, Customs and Border Patrol, they're going to be actively involved in this. They're going to be doing reading your first book, for crying out loud. You're talking about racing after guys on on ATVs, tackling guys. These guys at ICE have had no experience in that. That's what you guys have been doing for a living. So how is the CBP going to be involved in this directly?
Well, the Border Patrol is going to be directly involved because Chief Bovino, he is the chief of El Centro sector in California, has been elevated to a position of authority and power. And now he is going into LA, et cetera, and making in Chicago and making very strong statements and arrest. And you are now, the word on the street is Bovino is going to handpick his guys to put into positions in 12 strategic locations across America, major cities where there's a large population of illegal aliens. And I want your audience to understand, there is going to be a seismic shift in the way this is done. If Bovino handpicks his guys to go in and be the leaders, you're going to see a level of use of force that people don't understand, because Border Patrol agents live in a very dark, violent, dangerous world on the border. Everybody looks at the pictures and sees people hanging out under a bridge. That's not what it's like. It's ultra violent, like inner city war zone violence. And Border Patrol agents don't react like little girls. They act and react immediately, decisively, and they will use a level of force to make the arrest. And I'll give you a great example. Go look at Chief Bovino walking through Chicago and listen to him tell people, get out of my way or I'm going to arrest you. Get out of my way or I'm going to arrest you. And everyone like partying the Red Sea. Why? Because even though those moronic protesters and activists have no idea what an ICE agent is, a Border Patrol agent is, they see the Border Patrol emblem and they're watching the actions of those agents and they're saying in their brain, they're making that determination, those guys are different. I want nothing to do with them. And that's what's going to happen across America. Now, I'm going to put this caveat there, and I've said this to you on your show many times in the past. Donald Trump must put the military attached, not National Guard. I'm talking the Marines. I'm talking the Army. I'm talking Special Forces to create perimeters so these agents can do their job without getting shot, rammed, boxed in, punched, and they have to be able to have an apparatus when they begin to make hundreds, if not thousands of arrests a day of how do you move these people and move them into deportation proceedings and then deport them immediately. But it has to be the military.
Does Bovino feel the same way about that? Like, have you heard him say that he needs the military assistance?
I have not heard Chief Bovino say that because he doesn't come out that much and talk about strategy. But everyone in, like, I just got off the phone with a guy that's in this world of podcasting that is a former Border Patrol agent, and he and I were talking, and we're in agreement. This is a national security issue. If it is, and it is, and Donald Trump has stated it repeatedly, then we have got to start acting like it. Like I just said, 6,000, quote, ICE officers have to arrest 50 million. Case by case, Clayton, that's absurd, right? Anyone on the face of it will look at it and go, well, just if they're absolutely the greatest agents in the world, day in and day out, take no days off, well, it'll take about 150 years for these guys to get these people, right? I mean, it's absurd. So I don't know how Trump was sold on this strategy. I don't know. But I will say this about Trump. Trump is someone that course corrects, and he's making a course correction right now. And because he's been able to shut the border down, the border is completely closed. He needs to continue to secure it with military. But now it's time to release the Border Patrol agents from the front lines into the interior of America.
So I just have some strategy questions here. So Bovino will be underneath Tom Homan, technically? Will he operate under Tom Homan?
I think that's a great question. I don't know. I'm hearing from Bill Malugin and that I'm seeing all of the people in my world in Border Patrol are saying, no, Chief Bovino has been elevated and he's going to handpick his people. So that I don't know how Chief Bovino is in the organizational chart, right? Yeah. I think they plucked him and put him like over here in the organizational chart all by himself. That's how I'm envisioning this to happen if he's going to handpick. And one thing that I will say about Chief Bovino, he was one of the, quote, rogue chiefs that would not follow Mayorkas and Biden. In fact, he got jammed up pretty hard on that. And he is one of the very, very few Border Patrol leaders that did not participate in the treason that Joe Biden and Mayorkas handed down. There are still people in the United States Border Patrol hierarchy that were helping, facilitating, and strategically creating apparatuses to illegally bring illegal aliens into America. Border Patrol chiefs were doing that. So at the same time Bovino's doing that, there needs to be a house cleaning of these people. And I know several of them, and they're vile. They need to be removed.
Man, you got to put that out on social media because, I mean, that's what friend of the show, Kyle Seraphin, has been doing, FBI whistleblower, about the rot inside the FBI. And these people who were still inside the FBI, and when they've been getting called out, they've been getting fired. Because I don't think there's a massive rot that these guys are having to navigate through. And that's my concern. I think you just made that point very clear. You know, Bovino comes in there, but then he's got people that are going to be working against him. That's my biggest fear.
That's why he's going to handpick. But and also the rot is so deep in ICE. People don't know this. You have the lawyers run ICE. Well, you look at the organizational chart of ICE and see all of the cutouts. You have massive amounts of civil rights attorneys, lawyers. So I'll give your audience just an example. and I ran these guys. These ICE agents would work under me, and I would have to take over how they worked because it was so inefficient. They would have a case file, and they would see their subject get in a van and drive away. They would stop the van. I mean, this is beyond anything you can imagine. They would stop the van, identify their subject. Okay, you're Juan so-and-so from Ecuador. Okay, you're under arrest. And I would sit there and I would go, whoa, time out. There's 10 more people in this van. Are you, and I'm looking at them, they're all illegal. And they go, no, we're not, our lawyer says we're not allowed to arrest anyone except the person on the case file. That is the world of ICE, okay? And in Border Patrol world, we go, hey, everyone, put your hands on your head, you're all arrested. We rip them out of the van, and then we seize the van, and then we move on to something else. But under ICE and the attorneys, this historical way they do things, they leave the other 9 people to just drive away. This is the world that we're living. This is the rot that we're talking about that is in federal law enforcement. Just because Trump came in, it wasn't snap your fingers and everybody snap to and they're good soldiers. No, that's not true. That's not, and Kyle Serafin's talking about the FBI. FBI's rotted to the core. Whatever happened to get rid of the FBI? I would love to ask Kash Patel that question. But there needs to be a cleansing, right? And why I get passionate about this is because I know what needs to happen, and I'm watching it just deteriorate. And if we don't go all in, and I mean when I mean all in, I'm talking about a use of force to crush the adversary, what the adversaries, the Democrats, the activists, and the illegal aliens. If we do this half-assed measure, Clayton, we are going to lose. And agents are going to die and be severely injured because they are being attacked every single day, and no one's being truly arrested. Like Pritzker, Brandon, Johnson, those men need to be arrested because they are aiding and abetting. Bass, the mayor of LA. All these people need to be arrested under 8 U.S.C. 1324.
Yeah, standing in the way of the federal government trying to get these illegals and violent criminals out of our country. I guess I'll get you out of here on this, JJ, which is how we talked about the 6,000 ICE agents. I know they put out a big call to hire like over 100,000 or 150,000. You see the TV ads everywhere. I mean, I've seen them repeatedly everywhere. I know their recruitment numbers have surged. But what about the Border Patrol? What do their numbers look like, and how many are we talking about are going to be going into these different 12 designated cities?
Well, at the end of Joe Biden's term, everyone was leaving. At the height of the United States Border Patrol, we had 21,000 agents, and that's still not enough. 21,000. We're below 15,000. 15. We're drowning. They're trying to push people through the academies as fast as they can. Their recruitment's skyrocketing, obviously, under Donald Trump. ICE is the same thing. But I tell people this, it is a 3-year mark from the day that you begin to, quote, recruit or hire an individual, an applicant. It's going to take you a good solid 3 years to get that person to be functional within the law enforcement range. So what needs to happen is retired military, retired state and local police, and retired agents like myself need to be hired, and hired quickly. I've been offered a job 3 months ago. I'm still waiting, as many of my former colleagues that have said, okay, I hear the call to get back in. I don't really want to, but I feel a moral obligation to my country to get back into the fight. Here I am. All right, I will go through all of the drug test and the medical and all the background check, everything that I left behind in retirement. I'm coming back in. I'm ready to go back into war for you, Donald Trump. And we are all sitting here, Clayton, waiting for a phone call. We are guys that have 20, 25 years in service, ran task forces, know what the hell we're doing, and we're sitting on the sideline begging them like, hey, calling HR. Excuse me, I have been waiting 3 months. I'm watching all of my brothers and sisters get destroyed out there. I think I could play a part in this. You asked for me to help. You sent out advertisement, PSAs, people have called me. Here I am. We're waiting. And when I mean we, I'm talking a large segment of retired guys that are ready to get in, and it's the government. It's just the government. We're waiting for some dude to hit a button to say, okay, you're ready to go. It's maddening, because we are the guys that have done this job, Clayton, know that it's not being done correctly. And one of the problems with it not being done correctly is there's not enough manpower, and guys like me are saying, we're here. We're going to leave our families. We're going to go back into a war zone. I got out of 24 years. I've been hurt multiple times, but I didn't die, thank God. So now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back in. How about a little respect and just get us in to the ball game? We're all sitting on the sideline with our hands up saying, I'm ready to go, coach.
And we need you more than ever. I hope Stephen Miller sees this interview. I hope enough people maybe share it with Stephen and tag him on social media or something so that he's aware maybe some of the nuances here. But this is definitely, this is the federal government at its finest. You have people sitting there ready to go. I'm ready to jump in. I'm ready to jump in and help my country. But somebody, somewhere, some bureaucrat has not lit the green light yet for it. It's just disgusting. JJ, thank you so much for this. Thank you for educating all of us about this. I hope you'll come back soon, and please update.
You're muted, Michelle. You're muted.
Thanks. All right. So lots going on there. So first of all, he says he was offered a job 3 months ago, but HR won't call him back.
That's what I'm telling you.
A bunch of people.
Listen, this should literally infuriate every red-blooded American. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or whoever. This affects every man, woman, and child in this country. My blood is boiling when I watch this interview with this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's confirming everything we've been saying on this show, that people have been coming after us saying we're divisive. Everything we've been saying, he's confirming right here in this one interview right here. That's what I love about this guy. How many times I've been saying they're going to get retirees called back because of certain things that are happening in this country? There it is. But they won't even bring them back. It takes 3 years to train somebody from the time of the academy. It doesn't matter if it's military, fire service, or law enforcement, in order to get someone where they need to be as far as training and experience is concerned. Notice he addressed the issue also going on with ICE is because he said, where was it right here? He said, don't act like little girls, because he says you're going to have to use use of force to crush the enemy. What have I been saying all along? Literally, you are going to have to get nasty with these people. That's the only thing that they understand. Where's the water cannons? Where's the cattle prods? I'm sitting here, I'm watching ICE. Literally, it disgusts me. I'm watching ICE because someone doesn't want to walk. Oh, you poor thing. He doesn't want to get up and walk, so now they have to drag him. Why would you waste that energy in dragging him? Now I'm seeing them put him on carts and wheel them off. It's called a cattle prod. I know I used to hit my cousin with one all the time. Trust me, if I hit you with the cattle prod, you're going to be walking on water, much less walking. You are going to move. So there are things that can be done like this to drop the hammer on these things, and these guys aren't doing it. Now, he said we have 6,000 ICE agents, right? He said, but we got 100,000 people are putting their stuff in, but it takes 3 years. By the time this happens, Trump will be out of office at that point. So they've got to bring some guys back. But 6,000 of these agents, that's all they have of ICE agents, are divided up into subgroups. Most of these guys don't even do the arresting, Michelle.
Yeah.
This is why my heart breaks for Tom Homan, whom I love. I think he's doing a great job, but he's been literally, I think this guy's been set up to a point. That's what breaks. I'm going to call it out. I don't care. I think they've put Tom in almost an impossible position because he's been set up because he doesn't have the help that he needs, the resources that he needs. Now, he's talking about Chief Bovino in this. He's talking about literally bringing in the military. What have we been saying? In other words, what this guy's saying, FBI, Kash Patel can't handle this. Pam Bondi can't handle this. Now, he didn't say him by name, but I'm paraphrasing here. He says ICE cannot handle this. The Border Patrol cannot handle this. They're down to below 15,000. 21,000 wasn't enough. They need more Border Patrol. He's saying, bring in the military. Why in God's name, are we waiting on this when we have innocent men, women, and kids every single day being killed by these illegals? And Trump is sitting back and literally, he said, what was right here? He doesn't know how Trump was sold on this plan. I'll tell you how he was sold on the plan. It's because you listen to the wrong people and you choose the wrong people that God's been screaming about for I don't know how long. Unfortunately, God is 10 steps ahead or 1,000 steps ahead of even this president. I hate to tell you that, even though I know he's a high IQ, I know he's a smart guy, but God's going to always be 1,000 steps ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to this. He even said the term 50 million illegals in this country. What have we been saying all along? Everyone says, oh, there's 20 million, there's 30 million. I've been saying, no, there's 50 million here, guys. And he even said that. And so, look, The reason the violence on the agents, I believe, is skyrocketing. They said it's up 8,000%. When you listen to this man who's telling the truth about these ICE agents, it tells you why it's skyrocketed. It's the mentality of the generation that we have working for us right now. They don't have the mentality to strike back. Or he's even saying that the Border Patrol can strike back where ICE agents really cannot, so to speak, because of the red tape. Did you hear the part about when they pulled the guy over with the van?
Yeah.
If they don't have a case file on him, that's the only guy they can arrest. The other 9 get turned back loose in the United States, basically.
Yeah.
But the Border Patrol can hire all of them. Look, we should be burning the phone lines up at the White House right now, demanding a course correction, demanding something be done. Stop with the Nobel Peace Prize. Stop with everybody else, with the MAGA. Make everyone else great again, and let's get back to America first.
What about him talking about whatever happened to getting rid of the FBI, that the rot is so deep? And he brought up Kash.
This is the problem. Kash Patel cannot handle the FBI. We have been saying this for how long?
Yeah.
Pam Bondi cannot handle the DOJ. The rot is to the core. Why wasn't this stuff emptied out in Trump's first term? This stuff should have been done in Trump's first term. That's just my humble opinion. Everybody may not agree with that. But why isn't this stuff being turned on its head? What happened to disbanding the FBI? Getting rid of it?
Well, one of the things and that's what he was saying about getting rid of the FBI. That's really what he was saying.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I thought he said that was very interesting as well is he says it's the Democrats, the activists, and the illegal aliens. So much of what we discuss is about the illegal aliens, but quite frankly, it's the activists and the Democrats as well. He's saying, look, we've got civil rights attorneys. We've got all these people working in ICE, and they're obstructionists. They're really committing treason. I keep saying, let's call it what it is. It's treason. These are treasonous people that are in these positions that are blocking, probably Soros funded, quite frankly.
Sure.
And so why aren't these people being put in prison? That's what I don't understand.
And look, we don't want people going to prison, or we don't want people just being arrested. We want them prosecuted. We want them out of here, or just get them out. You know what I mean? Look, and people are going to say, well, why did Trump pick the wrong people? Well, he likes to highlight people, and he likes to, there's an excuse there. He likes to highlight people and bring them into the spotlight. Guys, does it look like we have time for this game? We don't have time for this game. America is about to burn to the ground, and we're fixing to have civil conflict in this country, the likes which have never been seen before, because once it kicks off, there's not going to be no stopping it. Now, if this is a psyop, it needs to be stopped really quick, and it needs to get whoever needs in power needs to be over these agencies right here. Here's an idea. How about we put a bounty on these guys, and you start paying people for going and picking them up and taking them to where they need to go?
They won't be allowed to be arrested.
Why do they have rights?
Great
They're
question.
here illegally.
But you have to ask the civil rights attorneys this. I mean, we would have never agreed with 9 people being let go and only 1 person getting arrested in a truck. But Mark, that's what's happening. So
we are at
didn't
war.
do anything.
We're at war, right? So if we're at war and the president declares the Insurrection Act, these guys should have no rights. Civil rights attorneys or no civil rights attorneys.
They're letting them have
an
rights.
invasion.
But JJ just explained. They're getting rights.
Let me ask you another question. If the bullets start, God forbid, but if the bullets start flying in this country, you think there's going to be civil rights attorneys? No.
Well, you mean what they say matters? Oh, yeah, it won't matter. But the fact of the matter is that's what's going on right now. The guy says the rot is so deep. How much more do we have to hear? He says the FBI should go away. Ask Kash Patel what happened to that. He brought up what Kash said. There was a lot of talking, and I absolutely believe Kash Patel's girlfriend could very well be Mossad. Likely Mossad. Okay. Yeah. So you're so far deep into some of this stuff, and people want to sit here and say, and you make an excellent point, people want to go, well, it's waking people up. It's exposure. It's this, it's that. Yeah. To the tune of how many millions that we've covered today, how many tens of millions of people are getting paid monthly. And some people, like Brooke Rollins brought out, multiple states. I mean, one person she highlighted says that he's getting paid checks from 6 different states. that are here illegally on the SNAP program. So yeah, let's just keep sitting back and calling it exposure. By the way, just want to bring something up, okay? So all of you that are listening right now that are always asking me, why don't you have this person on or that person on? I want to ask you a question. The people you keep asking me to have on, are those the same people that kept claiming that when Biden was president, that Biden wasn't really president, it was Trump? Because we just heard J.J. Carroll, who again, 25 years of Customs and Border Patrol saying 21,000 wasn't enough. Now we're at 15, and all of this stuff, this shrinkage happened under Biden. So we don't get to have it both ways. At some point, people need to wake up and realize you're listening to liars.
Right.
Okay. And the nasty comments and the nasty emails that I get about Mark and me and being negative and everything, J.J. Carroll doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, he just lined up a whole bunch of stuff we've been saying for months.
And gave actual facts.
Yes. So just bringing it up that I have stayed the course because I've known that this is the truth.
Right.
And so just saying, so I don't listen to these people and I don't let them on the show because they're lying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, I would encourage people to go back and watch that part of the segment of the show. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to that part of the segment over again, because that is very powerful what that guy is saying. Again, we need to be burning the phone lines and emails to the White House up, demanding a course correction here, guys. I am telling people right now, look, we are so close. It's not going to take anything at this point to kick something off in this country. And I have said before that blood's going to be on Trump's hands if it comes to a shooting war in this country. God forbid it does. But I said he's dragging his feet, and the Lord warned years ago, that if they waited too long to act, that the Patriots would take matters into their own hands and they would end it.
Well,
and it's not going to be good if they do.
We need to be tagging Stephen Miller, Dan Scavino, a bunch of them, asking what day is J.J. Carroll going to work, and all of his experienced buddies as well. Which, by the way, the only person that's been saying that this was going to happen was Mark Taylor on the Michelle Moore show and on Jay's show for months now. So again, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this was coming. You got too many people on fluoride, first of all. This is part of the problem. Everybody got a trophy that is military age in the United States when they played t-ball when they were kids. So that's another part of the problem. Then you got, and I hate to bring this up, but I saw this problem when Trump was running for president the first time. How many middle-class white women, okay, most of them Christians, by the way, a lot of them I considered my friends, but how many were like, I just can't vote for Trump. He's just, I don't know, just too mean. Okay, I don't know about you, but when it comes to life or death in this country and our way of living, I'm sorry. I want the big bully that shows up and wants to kick butt. So that way this gets taken care of. And so I had no problems voting for Trump. I was all in. And so, this is the problem is you got some of these women who are like, he's just rude. I'm going to have to vote for
Don't forget
Hillary.
some of those women work for these agencies.
Bingo.
Because
Beth
DEI
Moore
is still alive and well in these agencies. And what have I been saying for months? Just because Trump canceled it at a federal level, it's going to take years to get rid of this stuff for it to filter down to the state and local levels.
Yes. And then you got people that are plants like Beth Moore, who was like, I'm going to have to vote for Hillary. And she came out twice, a month before the election, both times, talking against Trump. And it's like, okay. So again, wake up and realize it's like as though we're in a war and everybody
we are at war.
But it's like as though they're bringing an ink pen to the war. It's like you don't freaking show up for a gunfight with an ink pen or a little pocket knife.
Right.
Okay. I mean, holy moly, this is insane. Look, and so this is what we've been dealing though with a lot of these women, and then men who sit back and don't say anything, because just like people want to say, oh, the mama bears, the mama bears, the mama bears. Okay. The only reason why you have a mama bear is because the men won't be men and stand up and fight and do what's right. So it forces some women like myself to actually stand up and kick some butt and take some names. But that's not what we were built for. We were built for a whole nother set of skill sets. It's supposed to be the men being men, but you got them all hopped up on fluoride, and another thing is calling men racist, white men, toxic masculinity. Because if you take out the man, then you can take over the country. That's
right.
that's the way these people think.
I can see a difference from when I was on the fire department, how we dealt with things on the street, to how ICE is handling things on the street. I see the videos all the time on YouTube, and it makes me sick to my stomach how you see them patting them on the back, walking them off. You should be busting their heads.
Yeah.
Literally. Do you think in the 60s and 70s that they didn't literally crack heads? I'm talking doing trauma to someone to set an example of these guys and watch how fast it stops. They know they're not going to do this kind of thing. I have been saying for months, if not years, Trump is going to have to use a very, very heavy hand to get this stuff under control.
You have,
whether it's food riots that are coming, whether it's a religious war that's coming, whatever the case may be, he's waiting too long. And he even said on here, he doesn't know who sold Trump on this plan. So who is it in the Trump administration that Trump needs to fire immediately and get somebody in there with some cojones that knows how to operate? Look, this subject matter makes me boil right now, because what I see happening here, Michelle, is innocent men, women, and kids getting caught in the literal crossfire of this because of a president who's not wanting to act for some reason. Now, I'm sorry, I know that's strong words, but I don't care. It's got to be said. At some point, he's got to act.
We had a viewer that said something about the man being feminized. Well, part of the femininity, by the way, and I covered this, gosh, almost a year ago, and a whole thing. I've got a whole God story behind it, but it's the shots. You don't give little boys shots that have aborted female cells in them. Ding dong.
And
so
who was
now
pushing the shots?
Huh?
Who was pushing the shots?
Yeah. I'm just saying, you don't do that. So now you got men who are not as big and tall and hairy, the whole thing, than what we had decades ago, generations ago, a couple of generations ago. And so that's the first thing. Then you hop them up on fluoride. You see what I'm saying? It's been a systematic, intentional attack on the men. And then, I mean, by the way, let's not forget the women who think that they're, boys. And so, and say, well, God made me this way. Because then you've got,
who are firefighters, who are cops, or who are FBI, or who are ICE. Give me a break.
Yeah, that are 5'2". I'm sorry, but if I call the cops, I don't want someone showing up that looks like me. Okay, I'm looking for somebody that's going to be 6'2", ready to kick some butt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trust me, been there, done that on the street. I've had it happen too many times.
Yeah. And so I called the cops one time, and this guy got out of the cop car when I got to the house, because I wasn't at the house at the time. My alarm was going off. He got out of the car, and I'm telling you, Mark, he had to be 6'5", and I started laughing. Okay. Laughing. I thought, oh yeah, someone's getting their butt whooped today, and it's going to be beautiful. Yep. Okay. And so I was like, oh yeah, now it's on. Someone breaking into my house, it's fixing to be on. Right. And so, oh yeah, I was all about it. And so, because again, it's an attack on our entire country that's been going on. And quite frankly, we haven't said this, but I said this to you before the show today, and I'm going to say it now. The fact of the matter is, all of these things that we've been talking about, every single one today, all roads lead to the same place, and it's the New World Order. Right. It's the New World Order. People are like, well, when did the portal open? Was it, was it Lewinsky stuff and Daddy Bush? All of it, New World Order.
All of it.
And so all of it. And so
it all adds together.
That's right. What is the New World Order?
It's a stack effect, okay, of all these different things, spiritually and physically. But look, I want to encourage everyone right now to get on the phones, get on your emails, and contact the White House and ask them, when are they going to act and put America first? Stop with the MEGA. Make everybody else great again. Yeah. We need America first again. It's time to act. It's time to clean these guys out of here. If people truly knew what was really happening on the streets right now, Michelle, the true stats, that was another question. Where are the stats? We see these stats out of Germany and the UK of how many crimes are committed, how many rapes are committed by the illegals. I never see that in America. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
I've never seen any stats so far of what's happening in America with the illegals. Well, there's a reason for that.
They won't even tell us the truth about how many illegals are in the country.
That's right. It's 50 million. You just heard it from J.J. Carroll. I've been saying 50 million. He just confirmed it again right there.
They tell us
50
20
million.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not going to happen overnight. Even if he deploys the military, it's not going to happen overnight.
So Mama Talama says, I'm stuck here in Washington State near Portland's Antifa nightmare. Oh, boy. Please pray for those of us who are trapped because we have elderly parents that we can't relocate. Oh, my goodness. That's got to be a big nightmare.
Again, this is the thing. Where is the president Why is he neglecting? I hate to use that word, but some people will say, I feel betrayed by the president. I feel hurt. I've got the comments right here. I haven't read them on here, on the air, where people saying they're angry, frustrated, hurt, and betrayed with the president. They feel betrayed because he's putting everybody else first and not America. Again, if people knew the true stats of what was happening in this country by the illegals alone, the crime stats, people would be, I think they'd probably finally take to the streets if they truly knew what was going on. But you're just not hearing about it.
Well, I think you got more faith than in a lot of people than I do, because I don't think I don't know that I see people taking to the streets. I think they're too hopped up on fluoride and got way too many shots personally.
It's twofold. It's that, but you also have that saying, never mess with a guy who wants to be left alone. You ever heard that saying?
Yes.
Okay. Never mess with a guy who wants to be left alone. Most guys want to be left alone, want to live their life. You got a lot of veterans running around. You got first responders running around, Second Amendment guys running around. But here's the thing. They know, even the Second Amendment guys, all these Second Amendment guys, because everybody falls under that category pretty much. They know that if they take to the streets and the first shot's fired by the enemy, then it's game on. It's over with at that point. That's what we don't want.
That's right.
Which is why I'm telling Trump to act now before this happens. Because if this happens, he's going to wish to God he would have acted sooner. Because no amount of military, especially this military right now, I hate to say it, with like you're talking about the feminized federal agencies, you think these guys are going to stop a civil war in this country when we got over 100 million gun owners? We have the largest army on the planet, literally. You think these guys are going to stop if a civil war breaks out in this country? Not happening. I don't want to see it happen because we would never recover from it.
I think, Mark, a lot of what's going on also is they're trying to kind of run the clock out. I think a lot of these people that you're talking about, the civil rights guys, the Second Amendment, you got ex-law enforcement, ex-military, they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s. It's like what Oprah said. What did Oprah say a few decades ago, or a decade or so ago? Just some old white men need to die. And right. I think that's what they're doing. Those are the ones that will get up and kick butts and take names later. Yep. And really are a completely different generation than what you see with 25-year-olds right now. I'm sorry. And they were made different. It was a different time they were raised, and they'll just take they do want to be left alone. Yeah. So there is a conservative attitude right now that knowing that if we take to the streets and somebody shoots, that's going to be it. It's over. Yeah. And I think that's why they're kind of putting the brakes on taking to the streets, because no other country on this planet's got the Second Amendment like we do. So, yeah. So, but again, though, you got a bunch of 25-year-olds that don't even own a gun. There's more gun owners than there's not gun owners, and they're aging. And that's why I said I think there's a whole strategy. I suspect there
probably is.
Yeah. Christ Believer says, I've tried dozens of times to call the White House and written letters. Now, when you call, it says the phones are not being answered because of the shutdown.
Well, there you go.
You take social media. If you're going to get something
done. Social media.
Did you see the video of the guy who was a veteran, put something on social media? Don't know what he put, but some guys showed up at his house. I don't know if they were FBI or whatever. And he's like, where's your warrant? He's like, y'all get off my property. This is private property. He ran them off.
Yeah, because of the simple fact that he put out a post.
Yeah, social media.
On social media. So here we go again with the UK. Mm-hmm. So look, if you're on social media, if you're on Truth Social or X, tag the president. Tag Dan Scavino. Tag Miller.
Stephen Miller. It's ST. Just so everybody knows, I'm pretty certain it's STEPHEN. So just so everybody knows how to spell Stephen Miller. It's a PH, not a V. So STEPHEN Miller, MILLER. Yep. So Stephen Miller and Dan Scavino. And I think you need to be tagging Carol. So that way, and be asking and tagging the president saying, okay, that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on tagging all of them, including JJ, wanting to know when JJ's going to work.
Unbelievable.
And his buddies that all have experience too with Customs and Border Patrol. That's as soon as this show's over, that's what I'm gonna be doing.
And don't forget, guys, if this stuff starts, they're gonna burn stuff. They're gonna burn stuff.
They were burning crap in all kinds of towns, including Nashville. Back with Antifa.
The enemy's not going to leave quietly, so you might as well be prepared for it. I say rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get it over with. Let's do it.
Well, yeah. It's just
But now you're going to, when they start burning stuff, now you get into the firefighting stuff. So now you're getting into the guys who can't even handle the firefighting stuff.
That's why they need you back. That's why they need you back.
I can't even watch YouTube videos on firefighting anymore. It's ridiculous. I get so angry because there's lack of tactics, there's lack of cojones. Nobody wants to go inside and fight fire anymore. They want to fight it from the outside, not protecting life. That's for another show. It's the incompetency in the fire service is just as bad as law enforcement in the military right now. It's because it's just the society we are in right now.
Well, it's an intentional, systematic dumbing down.
Yeah.
It's not just in the body of Christ. Yep. They're doing that because, again, all roads lead to the same place, the New World Order. Yep. The writing's on the wall. Yep. And so we're either, going to have something major happen. This J.J. Carroll interview was very concerning because it's confirming a lot of things we've been saying. Yep. And he's saying it from the inside. He's saying it,
he's saying it from experience.
Yeah. And worked there and has the connections to confirm it. Summer 69 says the illegals here in Arizona are very, very bold and laugh about ICE and say that they are not leaving.
See? That's because ICE, look, let me give you an example how this works. Okay. Real quick. When I was in Orlando, okay, you would have, when I worked the ghettos, we'd have a riot and OPD would come around the corner and they would just laugh. Orlando Police Department. They were a joke. But the second a green and white would come around the corner, Orange County Sheriff's Office at the time, not when Jerry Demings had it and destroyed it, when Kevin Berry had it, who was a real sheriff, it's kind of like the guy down here, south of me down here, when he had it and a green and white came around the corner, that crowd would scatter because they knew better. They knew better than to mess with Orange County Sheriff's Office at that time. That's the kind of mentality. That's the fear of God you got to put into these people, that when you see ICE coming around the corner, that's where Tom's going to have to take the bull by the horns and start training some of these guys and cutting them loose, saying, you start busting heads. And when the word gets out, trust me, they will scatter. Now, here's the other problem I have with the so-called plan with JJ. And I know JJ's being honest here. He said we got like 12 locations that we're putting people at. Do you think that the illegals at this point have already caught on to the big cities and have now scattered out to the rural areas?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, it kind of goes back to when Trump said we're not going to, tell what our plan is. Well, when you're telling everybody what city they're in, you're telling the plan, But
well, at this point, everybody's questioning, is there a plan? Because there's no action.
Yeah. Well, or the plan's not good.
When you have a 25-year man standing there saying, I've been waiting for 3 months and nobody's even picking up the phone. Come on.
So Terry says, J.J. Carroll testified in front of Congress. Everything he said fell on deaf ears. They did nothing.
Of course, that tells you he's telling you the truth.
Yeah.
That's how you know the man's telling the truth right there. That's why they probably are not picking up the phone.
Yeah.
They don't want somebody in there like that. See, there's a problem somewhere, Michelle. I've been saying this with the Trump administration. There's a problem somewhere all over that administration. Something is not right with that entire bunch.
Well, what he's saying is that the rot runs deep, and he's saying that a lot of it was rot that got in there during the Biden years. And so and they haven't been removed of their responsibilities. They have not cleaned house since Trump's been there.
Right.
So just because, and I thought he made a great point, because I think this does happen. A lot of people think, oh, well, Trump's in office and he's, everybody's going to fall in line. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay.
I've been warning about that. But it's how long is it going to take, just for DEI as example, to work its way out? It's going to take 10 years. So again, why didn't we put the right people at the heads of these departments, of these agencies, to clean them out?
Yeah.
Obviously, Kash Patel's not going to do it. Pam Bondi's not going to do it. They're piecemealing it.
But why does Trump tweet one thing and then turn around and take it back when he
You tell me. Something's not right. That's all I know. I'm just,
And what I'm talking about, I know you know, Mark, but I want to explain it to the audience is, when he said something about Pam Bondi not doing a good job and then comes back and says to Pam Bondi, like, I don't know how long it was, a few hours later, he says she's doing a good job. And it's like, what?
She's going to go down as the best attorney general in history.
Yeah.
We're taking all these deep staters, these ex-deep staters, and we're turning them into heroes in front of the American people. Really? Because honestly, they're being handled is what they're being handled, because we all know who these people are.
Yeah.
If it is a psyop, this is not the time to be running the psyop right now when America's about to go down.
She's from Florida, and she was involved in the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
People may not realize that, but she had some connections with that.
That's right.
Okay, so let's see. Justice 311 says these employers hiding them too. ICE should show up at all the cricket phone store.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. The illegals all show up and pay their phone bills in person, newest phones too. Oh, sure. Because you know why they can afford it? Because they're on the SNAP program and they get paid in 6 different states. So now we know.
Yep.
How they get the latest phones.
Yep.
While our veterans are elderly and are, and the kids that go missing get trafficked, but while the veterans and the elderly are living on peanuts, literally, if they're lucky. Okay, so we're going to share a couple of more things, just because we haven't probably ticked everybody off enough. But there's a gentleman that it starts out at the very beginning. It might get cut off, so I want you to know. He says, "If I were the deep state." All right, let's take a listen.
If I were the deep state, I'd be smiling right now, because the left and the right would be clawing at each other, too busy fighting to ever look up. If my goal were mass surveillance, I wouldn't force it. I'd let chaos and social unrest demand it. I'd let fear sell the programs for me. Palantir for ICE, for DHS, all of it for your safety. If my goal were central bank control, I'd pass something brilliant sounding, call it the Genius Act. I'd let the banks regulate the stablecoin market till every digital dollar reported back to me. If my goal were media manipulation, I'd censor openly. I'd build algorithms instead. Silent filters decide every word you read, every image you see, every idea you're allowed to imagine. And I'd take oversight of your apps your children love, TikTok, Instagram, all of them, and call it protection. If my goal were population control, I'd empower the villains, Ellison, Gates, Blair, all pushing AI-driven mRNA, digital IDs, vaccine passports. I'd sell it as progress, but it would be obedience. If my goal were transhumanism, I wouldn't preach it, I'd implant it, Neuralink, straight in your brain, one chip at a time. If my goal were you will own nothing and be happy, I'd let home ownership die quietly. I'd flood the market with printed dollars until you had no expendable income. I'd make sure the supply went up when ownership went down. You'd rent for me forever and call it normal. If my goal were to bury the truth, I'd make it all disappear. Epstein list, gone. Diddy, protected. Rules for you, but never for them. If I were the deep state, I'd whisper, everything is going exactly according to plan.
Well,
that's pretty much where we're at.
Makes a lot of excellent points
Don't you
there.
have to add to that one?
Hey, I had to laugh over on YouTube. Here it is. Chris in Canada, don't make Michelle mad. oh my goodness, that's funny. Well, I'm just saying, just pointing out some of the facts. You got some of these women who, just enablers really, and going, Trump, he's just too, I don't like the way he does things. I just don't like the way he talks. I think he's mean. He's a bully. And I'm going to have to vote for Hillary.
I think he's being too nice, quite honestly.
Me too. Yeah.
Way too nice.
Yeah. And so I'm in the back going, kick some butt. So yep. That's how I am, because but people are failing to see what is really going on. And I think they fail to see it in a lot of ways because they're uninformed. Well, I don't really like to follow politics, Mark. It just gets me down.
Yeah. Well,
that's
you can't. You have to know your enemy in order to defeat your enemy. So unless you know what's going on, unless you know what your prayer points are, unless you know what your warfare points are, then basically, what are you doing?
Well, what you
also
have is a bunch of consumers. So you have consumerism. So these same women love their Starbucks, and they're busy buying the latest outfit,
soy lattes, nails.
And getting the salon stuff done. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. But they don't have time to listen to an educational documentary or a video or any of that. They can't do that because it just gets them down, Mark. It gets them down, quote unquote. I've heard this so many times. It's not even funny.
I've heard it from guys.
Oh, geez.
I've heard it from guys. They complain about the fact, well, you're just negative or you're being divisive or so. Do you need to know what's going on right now in today's time? Do you need to know what God is saying right now in today's time? Sometimes the truth is not always what you're going to want to hear.
That's
it's going to offend it. It will offend the mind to reveal the heart. So You have to know what the enemy is doing right now.
Yeah. And so what you have are people that also conveniently are always shocked. So when you tell them you realize about such and so, right? Oh no, I didn't know. And you're like, why? How do you not know these things? I don't know. I mean, I just I didn't know. Gasp. And that's what it is. It's because when you know better, you're supposed to do better. So they avoid knowing better. So that way they don't have to do better. They like things the way they are. They like their lives the way they are. And they might have to change something and not be spoiled and actually have some accountability. This is part of the problem with our country. It's just the absolute truth. You got a lot of middle class, and I think a lot of it's middle class.
Yeah.
And so middle class, and they're Christians. They'll call themselves Christians, and they'll go to church on Sunday, and they'll clock in and clock out of the big church building and tithe and all that. And then they'll go and they'll worry about all the stuff that they want to worry about, and not and put their head in the sand when it comes to what's really going on and true relationship with Christ. It'll be fluffed up, and they'll act like, oh, they just got the biggest relationships, but yet they look the other way when it comes to the children being trafficked because, well, that just gets me too down. And they probably got the shot, to be honest with you. A couple of boosters too.
Yeah. It's again, this is a total breakdown of society that we have in this generation that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I hate to bring it up, but that's what it is. So President Trump says, okay, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, which we've been covering this for a couple of weeks now, showing videos of this going on, mass burials, all that kind of stuff. He says the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War, which I wanted to ask you about. He says the Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. So what's the deal? With him calling it the Department of War. I know Pete Hegseth's title also is something to do with that.
War.
Secretary of War. Why? What was the explanation for that?
For going from Secretary of Defense to Secretary of War?
Yeah.
It's because war is much more offensive versus defensive. The Secretary of Defense is defensive.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So I guess this was breaking news today. So Waltz invites Nicki Minaj to the UN embassy to discuss Christian persecution in Nigeria. By the way, I thought, well, okay, maybe she's from Nigeria. No, she's not. No. And she's not a Christian.
There's always a reason why someone like this speaks up. There's always some behind the scenes reason why they're speaking up. I want to go back to something real quick with Trump's statement here. Why? I mean, look, I agree with what he's saying there. Okay, I do. Yes. I agree with this. Okay, I really do, because these are the real Christians that are getting slaughtered.
Yes.
Okay? We are of a different type of war here in America. However, if he keeps waiting, it's going to come to this in America. So if we're concentrating and focusing on this in another country, why aren't we focusing on Islamization here in America? That's my question. Because what's happening there is going to happen here.
Yes.
If we don't deal with it now, because we just shown the proof on this program over and over again for months of what's happening.
Yeah. Something's up.
Something's bad up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, again, maybe he's waiting for the right time and this, that, and the other. But the problem is, again, at what point do you act before we get in a civil conflict? Because if we ended up in a civil conflict, it is not going to be good.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So before we let you go, any closing final thoughts?
Just pray for the president, guys. I keep saying it over and over again, like a broken record. Yeah. I don't know what it's going to take to wake him up, honestly, spiritually, because I mean, this is not a good time right now. We knew it was going to get darker before it got better. It will get better. Don't get me wrong. It's just the fact is we got to get this president to wake up and start acting and start putting America first, not everybody else.
I think there's a lot of exposure going on as far as people waking up to where this money is going. But I think there are a lot of people that still don't understand. And I'm worried about the optics of it, where people don't necessarily know where the money's going. You got you got the media who's not telling the truth.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just wonder about that. Joe says, blissfully unaware, Michelle. That's right. Yeah. People want to say, well, I didn't know. And they don't, that way they don't have to take responsibility for, just what they are or aren't doing.
Right.
They just want to put their head down and keep doing what they're doing because they like their lives the way they are. And, and it's very dangerous. And quite frankly, it's not biblical. I'll just say it. Not biblical either. You looked the other way. Children are being trafficked.
Yep.
Even with the DHS in our own country, there's thousands of kids missing every year, and you looked the other way.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being
Thank you
here
for having
with
me.
us. Thank you. All right. I want to remind you that I won't be here tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, because we're going to North Carolina doing our last trip it's our 10th and final trip. You guys have just been absolutely amazing. Over $250,000 worth of help and food, supplies, all different kinds of stuff that we've been providing for them, fans, air conditioners. It's really amazing when I think and look back. It's really amazing. In fact, now we're looking at also doing some blankets that they're asking for. And so we got some of the donations, and I opened up that mail today. And so I think that money is going to be able to go towards some blankets that Jenica has told me that people are needing, because it gets cold there. It gets really cold there, and it's already really cold there. So we're going to be looking into helping with that also with some of the donations, since I already did the food stuff. So I'm thinking we're going to have about $500 to be able to send some blankets and stuff her way. So that way they can get some help to those that are needing it. Thank you so much again for donating the money and really writing so many letters of encouragement and gratitude. Many of you thank me for doing this, which is totally not necessary. It is a lot of work, but it has all been worth it. And it's been my honor. And so I want to remind you, we'll be here Friday. Got a big thing planned for Friday to help you with when you or a loved one have to deal with the medical system in our country. So we're going to make sure that you know about that as well. We appreciate you guys. And don't forget too, that we'll have shows, at our regular time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. It'll just be an educational video / documentary. And I'll be back on Friday. I'm going to miss you guys. I don't know if y'all know this, but I really miss you a lot when I'm not doing the show. I miss the Michelle family, but I see many of you in the chat, and that y'all are still, just gathering. I think that's important, especially right now in these times. I know many of you don't have family or friends that you can talk to about these things. And it's just amazing what God has done here with our viewers and the Michelle family. And so I love you guys, and I'm going to see you Friday right here next time, live with me on the Michelle Moore Show. Hi, friends. It's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven. And when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry, both nationally and regionally, by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense. But without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made to order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, Formulated with pure purpose and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Did you know your cell phone emits radiation that has been linked to increased risk of certain types of cancers? This is why manufacturers include hidden warnings to keep your phone away from your body. And what's worse is that children are more susceptible to the potentially damaging effects. Safe Sleep for cell phones is a case specifically designed to block radiation. Its shielding technology integrated into the case has been tested in a third-party FCC-accredited lab to block over 99% of RF and 92% of ELF radiation emitted by your phone. It also functions as a stand for watching videos and comes in a magnetically detachable style for some devices. Safe Sleeve also offers anti-radiation cases for tablets and laptops and has free shipping in the U.S. plus discounted worldwide shipping is available. Go to truthtalkamerica.com today and click on the Safe Sleep banner on the home page. Use the discount code FIRST10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.